protecting Californians' futures. That's no small job. We think the governor is important, we think the Speaker of the Assembly is important, but no, the insurance commissioner has to protect our futures. So, no easy task, complicated by accelerating and sometimes unpredictable climate changes that affect us all. And to be clear, no resident or business is untouched by these challenges. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. And Commissioner Lara's efforts to implement, expedite, affordable, accessible solutions are key. And he does hold the keys to the castle in this regard, even though he's been doing a little duck and run and a little bit lately, but we know he's up for the challenge and gonna work with the governor and everyone to get this fixed. His top priorities include helping Californians recover from natural disasters, adapt to climate change, and resist future impacts. Commissioner Lara leaned in with Biz Fed leaders. We appreciate it. He said, oh, I only got 3 fires I'm fighting and this and that laundry list in the parking lot, but yet he showed up for Biz Fed. So thank you so much, and the Biz Fed Institute. It does mean a lot. He is reliable and accountable and undeterred to handle our questions and hear from us frankly. This is a tricky audience for him to say yes to, and I do appreciate the guts you always bring. So together we have a better chance of addressing the exodus of insurance providers and holding the state accountable for protecting the nation's largest insurance market. The nation's largest insurance market. We now have to tackle the challenge of anticipating future catastrophes, and obviously it's a cornerstone of true economic resiliency, which we're here to talk about today. Commissioner Lara, the floor is yours. Come on up, give it to us straight. Please tell us, and you're gonna take about 10 minutes to talk about anything you want, but I would really love for you to tell us what we don't already know that's been reported in the media, where you have insights, intel, and you want us to know. And then we'll do some Q&A afterwards. Thank you.
Tracy, you said give it to you straight, but as a gay man, I want to give it to you non-straight. And nonetheless, I'm going to give it to you. I wanna thank you, Tracy, for inviting me to be here. And please, I'm gonna speak about what we're doing and the current situation we're under. But I really want to have a really no-holds-barred dialogue about how insurance is really where we're at as a state, what we're looking at as a country when it comes to this global phenomenon, unprecedented what we're living through as in the history. So that just goes to the luck, right? I'm like, of course, this is happening while I'm insurance commissioner. But what this really gives us is really a unique opportunity to fix outdated regulations, to be creative in what new products we need to address ever-changing market as we're focusing on climate change and how that's impacting all of us. And finally, people understand how important the role of the insurance commissioner is, because before nobody had any idea what we did or who we were. But honestly, we are in the midst of a global insurance crisis where the insurance markets are hardening, which means they are cutting back their portfolios and raising rates because a couple things are happening. And yes, climate change is a big part of that, but we cannot forget about inflation and how everything is costing more, right? When you think about the cost to repair your auto, the cost to rebuild your home, the cost of materials, bringing those materials abroad, all that is impacting the cost of insurance. If homes go up, the price of insurance goes up as well. What's happened in California, as Tracy rightfully said, we are the largest market in the country, 4th in the world. Now, when we start seeing these changes happening globally, they're gonna start impacting California first, before they start going into the other smaller markets in the other states. And let me be very clear, because people tend to ask me about other states. Florida's insurance market needs to succeed for our market to succeed. Louisiana's market needs to succeed for ours to succeed. We're all in this together. And as you see certain electeds put states against each other, us as insurance commissioners, we're working together hand in hand, because we don't have the luxury of pointing fingers. We are the ones responsible for fixing our markets. And so we are working together with other states, and I'm very proud. Climate and Resiliency Task Force at the National Association of Insurance Commissioners alongside with my colleague in Alaska, who have also seen record fires. Yes, in Alaska. And so this is something that is new to us, but let me tell you and talk about the California story. The first thing we started seeing changes in the market around 2017 as we were preparing for these massive fires. And we started to see insurance companies start cutting back their portfolios in certain communities and non-renew folks. And as we were looking at where this was happening, it was primarily focused in around 3% of our overall market. Now, if you think about 3% of your overall market, but where it's happening, it's devastating these communities, because what's happening is a domino effect. If you lose your insurance, the price of your home goes down, you can't sell it, and then you can't recruit money and resources for the local community to actually fight the fires. So it becomes this horrible cycle that we're starting to see. Now, we were starting to see that non-renewals were going broader, because what we also have to do, and one of the other part of my job is to make sure we have a solvent insurance market. So so the other thing would be, we don't want an insurance company to go under. That would be also be devastating for consumers, right? So you're constantly balancing consumer rights and making sure that the insurance companies have enough revenues to pay out 100% of their claims at any given moment. So that becomes harder as we're wrestling with unprecedented landslides, floods. Only 2% of Californians have flood insurance, by the way. That is something we have to fix. Now, and of course, these wildfires. Tackled with the economic global challenges, no longer can insurance companies keep just writing and growing business in California. Before, because of the size of our market, they were able to still write off some of these losses and still continue to grow in California. No longer is that the case. It's happening in Idaho, New Mexico. These are just fires in the western part of our country. And so you started seeing the hardening of the market. So then I looked and I used, as Tracy knows, I used my expertise of what should have been done a long time ago, is actually have a conversation with the insurance industry, which was frowned upon back in the day. An insurance commissioner talking to the industry, God forbid you talk to the industry that you're regulating. To me, it makes no sense. But we started having conversations of what they needed. And once we started seeing the numbers of losses, and I always say insurance companies are not churches, they're not charities or private business, and are not required by law, unlike utility companies, to turn on the lights. They, by law, can choose where they're gonna write. When we tried to force them to do that, the insurance commissioner at the time lost that case, and two, we've already seen examples of what happens, as the gentleman here was talking about, over-regulating or starting to write laws to mandate insurance companies. We tried that in the 80s after the Northridge earthquake. What happened? Insurance companies stopped writing earthquake insurance. They're like, we're out. So we were left with the California Earthquake Authority. In the southeast, insurance, those states at the time with flood started over-regulating flood insurance. What did the insurance companies do? Stop writing flood insurance. And now we're left with the national flood. For years, the coverage limits are horrible and it's not modernized. So the first thing I said, what I don't want is government running an insurance company. That is the baseline. We are not gonna have government run an insurance company. So what do? What do we have in our power? We can bring down risk. We can work together with our consumers and our businesses to give them the tools to bring down the risk and get something for them, so that we're holding everybody accountable. So what we did is really embarked in a 2-year process where no other commissioner has been to all 58 counties, we've had over, I don't know how many town halls, we've talked to over 200,000 people, which now we're gonna add all y'all into that, because we needed to figure out what was really happening. And what we realized is, one, people are scared as hell. People are losing insurance, losing their homes to these fires, and don't understand what their rights are. And for many people, this is their only investment. And after you've seen grown adults coming to you and crying not understanding what they just lived through. Two, then you have insurance companies trying to have them sign documents at that time. They're not ready to do that. They're just trying to figure out how to keep their kids, how do they help their children, where are they gonna live, do they have coverage to be able to go to a hotel? These are minor things that we were trying to work with them in the beginning, and then we started don't know what their rights are, don't understand their policies, and it doesn't matter if you have 2 PhDs or if you just have a high school education. Nobody reads their policy. Nobody, including myself, right? The goal is you sign your insurance policy and you want to forget it and you hope it covers you. We cannot do that. We no longer have that privilege. And so we really have to understand what we're signing, what your rights are, and this is where the Department of Insurance comes to be your partner. We have people Monday through Friday that will read your policy, help you understand what your rights are, and I can't tell you blanket what your rights are because all these policies are unique. And this is why we need people to help you understand what those are. One of the big issues that we're gonna try to work on next year is simplifying these contracts so that people understand what they're signing. Hey, how are you? I was like, and so what they're signing, which is good. See, thank you. And so, I'm gonna presume that. So, one of the critical things that we need to do is how do we inform folks? One, the insurance companies came to me and said there's 2 things that we've been asking for in California for years. The use of technology to help us understand and futurecast where these disasters might go. Where are we most at risk? Previous insurance commissioners saying absolutely not. We're not going to let you use technology because you're going to somehow use this technology to discriminate who gets insurance and who doesn't. We don't have that luxury. How are we California and not using technology to better inform where we're going to be more at risk? And why cannot we use that same data to inform us if Tracy's done all the hardening in her home right now? There is no way for the department to verify that. And so her rates don't even reflect the money she's invested in that property. So with technology, we're able to actually use that so that one, she's getting a policy that's appropriately priced to the mitigation that she's done. So that's important. Okay, what else? Cost of reinsurance. Reinsurance is essentially what insurance companies buy to CYA, because I hold them to account to make sure that they have enough revenue to pay out 100% of their claims at any given moment. Well, the cost of reinsurance is tied to the global market, and they have to go to get reinsurance every year. And like I said, it's tied to the global market. Fires in Greece, fires in Portugal, earthquakes in Turkey, the bridge in Maryland, all that takes from the same pot of money for reinsurance. So every year, it gets drawn down. Every year becomes much more expensive. California doesn't allow for a percentage of that pass-through through its consumers. All the other states do. So other commissioners started coming to me and said, hey, we're essentially subsidizing California because you are not allowing to get a pass-through so that we can we're all in this together with some regulations. What do consumers get? Because this is again, we're only talking about, and I'm very clear about this, the availability of insurance so that we can get to affordability. We cannot get to affordability if insurance companies continue to retract and leave the state. That's just a matter of fact, right? So we embarked on this negotiation around what do consumers get, and we reached a landmark deal that we're gonna get done by the end of this year through our regulatory process without any legislation, without the legislature, and this is all through my own authority under Prop 103. So what does it involve? We're gonna do catastrophic modeling for the first time. We came up with the issue of reinsurance, and I talked to the reinsurers and said, look, I still don't wanna get tied to the global market, but is our market large enough where in California we pay for our own risk? And can we come up with a formula that says, yeah, we take responsibility for California's risk, God knows we have a lot, but we still don't want to get tied to the global market. Can we figure a little more for our own risk, not tie it to other states or other countries. And the reinsurer said, we can get that done. So what do consumers get? We now are gonna get a guarantee, and I can legally obligate them to do this. 85% of their business is gonna go back to the wildfire urban interface areas. And we've come up with a map that's on our website that details exactly what zip codes and what counties. We're using a hybrid approach because in some zip codes, there's a lot of homes that we can all bundle in. And in some of the more rural counties, the homes are so dispersed that we need to use county data. So that's another thing that we're able to get. And when we mapped it out, we actually said, the way we're gonna map this out is 15% penetration rate of the FAIR plan. If there's a zip code or a county that has 15% penetration, which means you're stuck in the insurer of last resort, you're gonna be a priority district. We mapped that out, and it actually mirrors all the fires that we've had since 2017. So now we have where the insurers are gonna come in, and they can only use those two tools that we're gonna give them if they commit to write in these communities. Going back to helping our realtors sell homes, helping our firefighters with the resources they need, and we're gonna be able to track, because now we're gonna be able to actually get this data, because we were operating in a black box, because transparency is critical. So now we're gonna be able to inform our local governments to say, FYI, these insurance companies are now writing in your communities. These are the homes that are being taken out of the FAIR plan. We already have a list of those homes that we've prepared so that insurance companies cannot give me an excuse that they don't know which homes. And they're going after the ones that are already fully mitigated. Of course, they're gonna fight to get the homes that are least risky, that are stuck in the FAIR plan. So, by the way, since we're talking about, you were talking here, you were jogging my memory, the other thing I did is, let's look internally. Why is it taking a year or two for these rate files to get approved? It's ridiculous. So what is happening internally? When the law says in Prop 103 that it should take 60 days to review, and you have an additional 30 days if there's any negotiations that need to happen. So we realized when I asked my own staff, we're all operating under different data sets. We're literally still operating in binders. I was getting a binder for these rates. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why am I still getting paper? So the legislature last year gave us a chunk of money to work on some data reconciliation tool that will be electronic, so then the insurance companies, the department are working with the same data set to cut time. I now recommitted in our new regulation that we have to stick to the 60 days, because that gives market certainty to the insurance companies that they're not gonna wait a year. So this is what happens. If an insurance company puts in a rate file for a risk profile that existed maybe a year ago, so you put your rate file, it takes us a year. So what happens is you get this access here where the protection gap continues to grow, because that rate, when it gets approved, no longer actually meets the risk, because the risk has already changed. It's gotten greater, right? And so we're never gonna catch up to the amount of rate that you need for the appropriate risk. So we said, okay, we're gonna put ourselves on check as well. And so committing ourselves to doing the rate consolidation and going back to the 60-day. That is major. Insurance companies ask me, can you give us some certainty? If we're gonna invest and grow in California, it can no longer take a year or two. The other thing, you were talking about interveners. California is the only state that has an intervener process. They very, very smartly embedded themselves in Prop 103. And so that means any intervener can come in and challenge the rate and say, we don't like this rate, and so we're gonna, on behalf of the community, we wanna now intervene, which also elongates the time. And what they were doing is really holding these rates hostage. And our department was just used to doing that because it's part of the process. And then when I read the proposition, it said, when you're an intervener, you're ready to intervene day one, not 5 months from now, not whenever you feel that you're ready to intervene. And so I got my legal team to quickly say, you're gonna intervene, you're ready to intervene day one, these are the days of the meetings, and that's it. Or else we're not gonna approve you as an intervener. We need massive intervener reform so that and the other thing they were doing, which was insane is they were literally getting the work from my department, if our department had questions, and essentially copying and pasting it and saying, these are our issues as well. They can no longer do that. You're not gonna intervene for the work that my department's already doing, and the Department of Insurance is actually the public's checks and balances, not the intervener groups that are making millions of dollars off this process. It is ridiculous. Intervening is like whatever, intervening means different things to different people. They come and they'll come in and talk crap about our regulation and then bill us $100,000 or bill us $300,000. Where does that money come from? Then it goes to the insurance companies that then gets charged to the consumer. So we have to do massive intervener reform. That's also in plan for next year as we modernize our market. And we are now trying to catch up, and we have committed to the governor, the legislature, and to all the community folks that all these regulations are gonna get done by the end of the year. Meaning January 1, we'll be properly staffed. The insurance companies are gonna be able to come in, submit their rate files. We're gonna start getting those approved under the new requirements. And then we're gonna start seeing markets already, insurance companies moving back to the state. What has Allstate said already publicly? Once this gets approved, they're gonna grow in every part and every corner of California, because this is what they've been asking for. And Allstate's important because Allstate is the second largest insurance company in California. Farmers has already opened their HOA and their commercial policies again in California because of the market signals that we're sending. This is only the beginning. And so consumer groups that actually have members that actually go out and talk to consumers, understand what consumers are going through. And some of these intervener groups don't even have members. It's like 5 people. They don't even go to the community. They don't do town halls. And somehow they're the experts? This is ridiculous. And so it's time to really be honest with ourselves about how we create these reforms. So we're literally right now, Tracy, as we're seeing these fires, we're building the plane as we're flying it. And as you can imagine, trying to get buy-in from a department of 14. It gets a little more technical than that. So by the end of 2020, this year, we're gonna have the new regulation on the catastrophic models. We're gonna have the new regulation done on the California-only reinsurance. We've already done the regulation on the 60-day rate file and the complete rate file, because I forgot to say that insurance companies also committed to submitting a complete rate file, which is important. Before they would submit an incomplete one just to supposedly put their place in the system, which doesn't work that way. So again, holding the insurance companies accountable and holding us accountable.
Runs from canyons and foothills, very fire prone, down to the Claremont colleges and the I-10 corridor in an urban interface. So one rate could be set in that zip code, and yet it really doesn't make sense, because a business near the I-10 is very different than a home up in the canyon.
Right. So the goal of the regulation too is to be fair, to pay for the amount of risk of where you live. So this is why now we'll be able to extract the data from that zip code, which we can't now. We'll be able to differentiate, somebody that's in the canyon or somebody that's by the colleges, right? So we don't have an opportunity to do that now, but the department will, through these new regs, will be able to look at that data to be able to differentiate and tell the insurance company, wait, this is very different areas, right? So this is why we need this technology as soon as possible. The Declaration on Insurance, that was a nod to the Office of Administrative Law to say you can't take, when the commissioner sends you these regs, you cannot take a year to process these. It's all connected. We're all working on this. You have to do this in 40 days. And so not only are we working on emergency regs, but we're also going to submit the normal regs so that it all gets approved at the same time within those 40 days. The station that I see about our seniors and having them lose their entire savings over a scheme, are small businesses closing because they bought a fraudulent workers' comp policy because they had no idea. All those things, we have agents that go out and investigate. Again, Julia could be the point of contact, or we can send you the information. we will dispatch agents. We've uncovered crazy fraud, not only in LA County, and we give the district attorneys millions of dollars to go after and prosecute these cases. And we actually, at the end of the year, see how many cases they actually take all the way to prosecute. And if they don't meet our quota, we actually reduce the amount of money we give them. So I know, I was like, why are we giving the city attorney some money?
Let's give her some money.
But let's